That Amazon package sitting on your doorstep traveled through the most concentrated industrial monopoly you've never heard of. Stand at the edge of Long Beach Port at 6 a.m. and watch a 400-meter container ship dock. The mechanical symphony of cranes, trucks, and rail cars that follows represents invisible choke points controlling 80% of everything you buy. The towering red crane lifting your future purchases? Built by ZPMC, a Chinese company that manufactures 82% of all container cranes globally. The ship itself? Constructed by Hyundai, part of South Korea's shipbuilding empire that dominates maritime construction. The terminal coordinating this $200 billion annual dance of global trade? Operated by PSA International, Singapore's port authority that controls critical infrastructure across 26 countries. This same pattern repeats at ports worldwide. 3 companies forming invisible bottlenecks that 80% of global container traffic must pass through to reach consumers. But to understand how 3 companies gained this much control, we need to trace your Amazon package backwards through the global supply chain. Every container that reaches American shores depends on a single company most people have never heard of. Shanghai Zhenhua Heavy Industries, ZPMC, manufactures 82% of all container cranes globally, creating the first invisible choke point in your supply chain. This monopoly didn't happen by accident. In the 1990s, China's government identified port infrastructure as strategic national priority, pumping billions in state subsidies into ZPMC, while Western crane manufacturers focused on quarterly profits. Chinese engineers reverse-engineered European designs, then undercut competitors by 30%, not through efficiency, but through unlimited government backing. By 2005, ZPMC had systematically bankrupted most Western competitors. Today, the company generates $2.8 billion annually and operates in 104 countries, meaning your local port almost certainly depends on Chinese-manufactured cranes for basic operations. Here's the dependency trap. These aren't simple machines you can easily replace. Each ZPMC crane weighs 2,000 tons, requires specialized installation teams, and contains proprietary software systems that integrate with port management networks. When Hamburg's port tried switching crane suppliers in 2018, they discovered ZPMC's embedded systems had become so integral that replacement would cost $400 million and take 3 years. Most concerning? ZPMC cranes contain sensors and communication systems that theoretically monitor every container movement, creating a potential surveillance network that port operators worldwide have unknowingly installed. But cranes are useless without the ships that feed them containers, and here's where the second choke point emerges. Those massive container ships docking at ZPMC cranes? Most were born in a single South Korean industrial complex that represents the second invisible choke point controlling your purchases. Hyundai Heavy Industries builds 21% of all commercial vessels globally, but their real power lies in ultra-large container vessels that define modern shipping. Only 7 shipyards worldwide possess the technical capability to build ships carrying 20,000+ containers, the floating cities that make cheap consumer goods possible. Hyundai operates 3 of them, giving South Korea control over 35% of global shipbuilding capacity through a carefully orchestrated industrial strategy that began in the 1970s. South Korea's government didn't stumble into shipbuilding dominance. They engineered it through decades of strategic subsidies, forced technology transfers, and protected domestic markets. While European shipyards focused on luxury vessels, Korean engineers perfected mass production of container ships, driving costs down 40% below Western competitors. The technical barriers protecting this oligopoly are staggering. Building a 400-meter container ship requires specialized dry docks, proprietary steel bending technology, and engineering teams that understand how to balance 200,000 tons of cargo across ocean swells. New competitors would need $5 billion in infrastructure investment and 15 years of engineering development, assuming they could attract the specialized workforce that Korea has spent generations training. When global shipping lines need new capacity, they have essentially no choice but to order from Korean or Chinese shipyards, creating a dependency that extends far beyond simple manufacturing into the fundamental architecture of global trade. Ships and cranes mean nothing without ports to dock at, which brings us to the third and most surprising choke point. Those Hyundai ships carrying your future purchases need somewhere to dock. And that's where the third invisible monopoly emerges. PSA International operates terminals in 26 countries, handling 13% of global container traffic through a network so strategically positioned that avoiding them is nearly impossible. PSA's power stems from Singapore's geographic genius. The tiny island nation sits at the intersection of every major east-west shipping route, making it the natural hub for Asian manufacturing reaching Western consumers. Singapore's government recognized this advantage in the 1960s and systematically built PSA into a global terminal operator through strategic investments and diplomatic partnerships. But PSA's real monopoly power comes from positioning itself at critical maritime choke points worldwide. They operate terminals at Antwerp, Europe's second-largest port, Genoa, Italy's primary gateway, and Busan, South Korea's export hub. When shipping lines plan routes between Asia and Europe, they discover PSA controls terminals at virtually every major stop along the way. This creates what economists call network effects. Once PSA controls enough strategic ports, shipping lines have no choice but to use their services. Maersk, the world's largest shipping company, routes 40% of their Asia-Europe traffic through PSA terminals, not by preference, but by necessity. Alternative routes either don't exist or add weeks to delivery times. PSA's terminals are positioned so precisely that if just 5 key facilities went offline simultaneously, it would disrupt 40% of Asia-Europe trade routes. A concentration of power that even shipping executives don't fully grasp. Singapore alone handles 37 million 20-foot equivalent units annually, making it the world's second busiest container port by volume. The network effect becomes self-reinforcing. As more shipping lines use PSA terminals, the company gains leverage to expand into new strategic locations, creating an ever-tightening web of dependency that your Amazon package must navigate. These 3 monopolies create a hidden vulnerability in the global economy that most people never consider. ZPMC cranes, HD Hyundai ships, and PSA terminals, 3 companies that collectively touch 80% of global container trade, moving $5 trillion in goods annually through infrastructure most consumers never see. This concentration represents both humanity's greatest logistical achievement and its most dangerous vulnerability. The system works with stunning efficiency. Your smartphone travels 12,000 miles from Shenzhen to your doorstep in just 18 days because these 3 monopolies have eliminated friction through standardization and scale. Every crane speaks the same technical language, every ship fits the same dock specifications, every terminal operates identical container handling protocols. But efficiency built on monopoly creates fragility. Whenever given blocked the Suez Canal in 2000-2001, global trade losses reached $9.6 billion daily, and that was just one ship in one canal. Imagine if ZPMC's crane software experienced simultaneous failures, or if geopolitical tensions shut down HD Hyundai's shipyards, or if PSA's strategic terminals faced coordinated disruption. Your next Amazon delivery depends on 3 invisible companies maintaining perfect coordination across a system so complex that even they don't fully control it. The foundation of modern consumer life rests on infrastructure monopolies that most people will never know exist until something breaks.